Ever been in a conversation where your brain suddenly goes completely blank, like Windows error sound? Someone's looking at you, waiting for a response, and your mind is just buffering? We've all been there, and in that moment, it feels like some people were born with endless things to say, while the rest of us were given a free trial that expired way too early. But here's the secret no one tells you. Those people who never run out of things to say aren't smarter, funnier, or magically more interesting. They're just playing a different game. And once you learn that game, conversations get way easier, way more fun, and way less stressful. So let's talk about how to mostly never run out of things to say. First, let's clear up the biggest myth. Good talkers don't always have something brilliant to say. They just know how to keep the ball rolling. Think of conversation like playing catch. You're not expected to throw a perfect Olympic-level throw every time. You just need to toss the ball back so the game doesn't stop. The problem is, most of us treat conversations like job interviews in our head. We think, okay, I need to say something interesting, something smart, something impressive. And that pressure is exactly what makes your mind go empty. Your brain goes, oh, we're being judged? Cool, I'm shutting down. Instead, shift the goal. Your job is not to impress. Your job is to continue. Here's the first superpower. Curiosity beats creativity every time. You don't need new topics. You need interest. If someone says, I just started going to the gym, you don't need to come up with a story about your heroic fitness journey from 2014. You can just be curious. Oh, nice. What made you start? How's that going so far? What's the hardest part? Boom, conversation alive. And notice something important. You're not pulling topics out of thin air. You're using what's already there. People give you conversation material constantly, but most of us ignore it because we're too busy thinking about what we should say next. Which brings us to the second secret. Stop trying to be original. Originality is overrated in conversations. Familiar questions work because they work. No one has ever said, ugh, not another follow-up question about my life. People love talking about themselves. You're not boring them, you're giving them the microphone. Now, let's talk about running out of things to say. When you're the one talking, this is where many people panic. They tell a short story, reach the end, and then silence. Awkward silence. The kind where you suddenly become very interested in your drink. Here's a trick. Add layers. Most stories aren't one sentence long. We just tell them that way instead of, yeah, I watched a movie last night. Try, yeah, I watched a movie last night. I thought it was going to be bad, but it actually surprised me. That little extra layer opens doors. Now the other person can ask what movie, why you thought it would be bad, or what surprised you. You've given them handles to grab onto. Another easy layer, feelings, not deep dramatic feelings, simple ones. It was stressful. It was awkward. It was way harder than I expected. It was actually kind of fun. Feelings make stories expandable. Facts end conversations. Experiences continuum. Now let's address the big fear. Awkward silence. Silence feels like failure, but it's not. Silence is just a pause, not a verdict on your personality. Some of the best conversationalists aren't afraid of silence. They let it breathe. And here's something funny. When you don't rush to fill every silence, the other person often jumps in. They feel permission to speak. So sometimes, the best way to never run out of things to say is to stop talking. For a second, next powerful trick, steal from the environment. Yes, steal. Conversation theft is completely legal. You're in a cafe? Talk about the music, the coffee, the weirdly aggressive barista energy. You're at work? Deadlines? Office habits? That one printer that clearly hates everyone. You're outside. Whether people watching dogs, especially dogs. Dogs are conversational. The environment is constantly feeding you topics. You just have to notice them. Now let's talk about humor, because humor doesn't come from being a comedian. It comes from noticing small, relatable things, like saying, I always feel like I don't know how to walk properly when people are watching. Or, I swear my phone battery drops faster when I actually need it. These aren't jokes. They're shared human experiences, and when people laugh or nod, it creates connection. Once connection is there, conversation flows more naturally. Another big shift: stop thinking in topics and start thinking in threads. Topics end, threads continue. A topic is travel, a thread is that time you got lost. What you learned from it and how it changed how you plan trips now. When you're in a conversation, ask yourself, what thread can I pull? One answer leads to another, which leads to another. That's how conversations last 30 minutes without you realizing it. Also, don't underestimate reactions. You don't always need a new sentence. Sometimes, no way, that's wild, or that makes sense actually, is enough to keep someone talking. You're signaling interest, and interest is fuel. Now, quick reality check. You will still run out of things to say sometimes. And that's okay. No one talks nonstop forever. The goal isn't perfection, it's ease. When you stop fearing running out of things to say, it happens way less. The real magic is this: conversations aren't performances, they're collaborations. You're not carrying the whole thing, you're building it together. One small moment at a time. So next time your mind goes blank, don't panic. Get curious, add a layer, notice your surroundings, let silence breathe, and remember, you don't need endless words. You just need the next one. And funny enough, once you stop trying so hard to never run out of things to say, you almost never do.